Hey, Tim, I heard you went to the HFStival.
Yep.
I bet you had the time of your life.
Should I hit the button now?
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, Elemental Nation, it is I, Tim. That's Matt.
Hi.
Or Nitro, as he's come to be called.
Yeah, as he prefers to be known.
And this is Podcast Them Down, a metal podcast. So this is the second episode this year. We're talking about an extremely non-metal concert that I attended. But I think this one is also worth talking about because every time... So at work, I mentioned, I'm going to HFStival, or today I was like, I went to HFStival. And I got blank looks.
Got blank looks?
Yeah, because apparently this thing was so regional.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah, these people, like my coworker from New Jersey, didn't know what this was about. You know, the one from Oklahoma. Hey, what's an HFS?
What's an HFStival?
So, what I want to do is talk about WHFS, what the HFStival is, and how both of them got horribly ruined, but tell you about the surprisingly nice time I had for most of the HFStival.
Okay. Oh, most. Okay.
there was we did it nice. Right, so
Okay.
So WHFS. What is WHFS? What was WHFS?
I mean, I believe it's a classic independent radio station, a heritage station, I believe, or it was for it.
At one point, yes. Yeah, so
Wasn't it a talk station in Baltimore technically at one point?
yeah, so that's where the whole thing falls off. So they were a legacy station. It was one of those stations where the programming was whatever the DJs wanted. So they ended up being cutting edge, and like independent underground stuff, right? And at some point, that some point being 1990, they started having what became known as the HFStival.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here's some fun facts. Do you know what their call letters mean?
Yeah, I read I read all the articles today.
Wikipedia page.
Yes.
So
we didn't mention it's in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C.
So it's, it broadcasted and bounced around the suburbs, but it started in Bethesda, I believe.
It did. It was started in 1961. So HFS is for Washington High Fidelity Stereo because FM was hot and new at the time.
It was the first stereo broadcast in Washington. And let me just jump back to the HFStival real quick. So they started doing the HFStival in 1990, what became the HFStival, and it was one of the largest East Coast music festivals for a while. It peaked sometime around the turn of the millennium, then it kind of slid off, and then the station flipped formats.
Yep.
And then became a talk station in Baltimore.
Yep. And
then just the whole thing kind of died. And they tried to revive it, and it didn't work, and now they're trying to revive it again. So, back to WHFS. Legendary radio station. It was 102.3 from 1961 to 83. Then it switched to 99.1, which is where I remember it.
El Zol.
It was 1983 to 2005. 2005, they flipped formats. Like the staff didn't even know. They told them an hour before it flipped. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is like, could you imagine that?
And it became El Zol,
which is like
Latin music.
Yeah, but it's like a specific kind of Latin music. I think it was like a northern Mexican.
Yeah, they played like tropical, kind of like Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, a lot of reggaeton, as I remember. It was fine. It was good to practice your Spanish. And
and
fun bops.
So and ended up on 105.7 in Baltimore. It not only changed frequencies, it changed cities. And then they turned it to talk.
Yeah.
So remember, this was a legacy independent music station. And then it's like talk radio for some reason. And then it folded. All right.
Yeah.
So in that time, so in the 60s and 70s, they started playing at first classical and jazz. And then now it was the 60s, they started playing rock and roll.
Yep.
And so that was a big, it was a big deal. But they,
and they were like, kind of like one of the pioneers of like getting proggy experimental, like Frank Zappa. I mean, it's hard to say these are proggy experimental acts now, right? But like Yes and Genesis and like
in the 70s.
70s.
So like think of everything you know about radio. That's not what they did. They played the 20-minute songs.
Yeah, they didn't care about formatting. They like let the song go. They let it roll.
If they played the Beatles, it wasn't a hit, it was a deep cut.
Yep.
It says on the Wikipedia, once the station played all of Revolution 9.
Awesome. Yeah, fucking awesome.
The station made a policy of never playing a hit. And
good thing they stuck with that.
And they left the playlist strictly up to the DJs. All right, so they play progressive rock and alternative. And then into the 80s, they into the 80s, they kept doing just like underground stuff, like unpopular stuff.
Yeah.
So in the 90s, they were like cutting edge. So they were they would beat all the commercial radio stations to like the new artists, like months or years ahead of them. So they were the first one to play REM in the city. And
I feel like they really, I mean, kind of that, just like they were the format, like the forefront of kind of like prog rock, like kind of like cutting edge 70s music into the early 80s. They did the same thing with like grunge, and they were like, I remember I learned as a kid, what alternative music was by listening to WHFS. And I think at one point they called themselves Your Music Alternative, because they were just like so bought in to that.
Edit out silence because it happens automatically. Okay, so so sometime in the 90s, they were the whole thing went corporate.
Yeah.
Okay. So I forget if it was Westwood One or Clear Channel, but
they were Westwood One, which became CBS Radio. So they were bought, I think in the mid 90s by Westwood One, I believe.
So they went from playing like this obscure progressive rock, classic rock, hard rock to they basically tried to shift their demographic to the younger fans who wanted all that 90s stuff. Okay.
Well, and this came at a very important time, because this is when I don't know about how you feel about music, Tim, but I feel like the late 80s, early 90s were a time of musical innovation. And although there was continued to be musical innovation in like pop music, other genres, through the middle and late 90s, like electronic music, like dance music really gets good after like 1994. But like alternative music spoils, and at the same time, metal has spoiled, and the drippings congeal into new metal and hard alternative and whatever POD is. And that's where we are.
Yeah, so they play way more Green Day. They play Fuel.
Yeah.
They'd play
Calls Me from the Cold, Tim.
Limp Bizkit. It's just like they just became your generic rock station in the late 90s.
Also,
stop being innovative.
So we should mention here that there's another DC radio station, DC 101, that was their main competitor, but also kind of like the bro-y, sellout mainstream rock station, right? So like you listen to DC 101. Well, there's only two reasons you listen to DC 101. You listen to DC 101. I believe Howard was on DC 101 at some point, like way back. And I think the Grease Man was at one point too. So you're listening to those.
Oh yeah, he was. You're right.
You're listening to them in the morning when your dad's dropping you off at school, and you probably shouldn't be listening to that. Or you're a fucking poser. And those are the only reasons it was okay to be listening to DC 101, because they were inauthentic. They're the Clear Channel station. They're just fucking sellouts. And HFS slowly went from being an innovator, underground, amazing station to just a bad clone of DC 101.
Yes. However, you didn't mention my preferred station, which you couldn't always get where we were.
104?
No.
Oh.
98 Rock.
Oh, 98 Rock from Baltimore.
Neither DC 101 nor HFS had mandatory Metallica, which 98 Rock did because they played better music.
Okay, that's true. If you lived north of the Beltway, you could get 98 Rock. And they had more like metal. Like they would play Pantera. They would play like actual metal. Even though it was mid-90s metal, they would still play metal.
Still play it.
And occasionally like a Tool song or something.
Yeah. So, which I feel like HFS would have gotten in on Tool, if they did.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean HFS definitely played like those early Tool albums. But they weren't playing Anima. Well, they were playing Anima, but they weren't playing it for like good reasons.
So during this whole time, the HFStival was happening every year, and it was getting bigger, but they still like supported local bands, up and coming bands.
Yeah.
But as the fest got bigger, they got more and like bigger and bigger headliners, but they also had weird lineups that people were like, that doesn't make sense. So for example, in 1993, this was the first year they had it in the former, like what, 3 stadiums ago, for the former Washington Redskins.
Yep.
They had that was RFK Stadium. They had the Stereo MCs perform, which was a British hip hop group, and everyone's like, "This doesn't fit."
Yeah.
Now I bring this up because I specifically remember when they announced one HFStival that Eminem was headlining, and I was like, "HFS has never played Eminem. Why the fuck?" Like, I hate Eminem. This makes no sense, But like, I just bring it up because it wasn't the first time they did that, but they'd also have like over and over again, they just get like weird stuff other than what they normally play. They got Tony Bennett. They got the Blue Man Group one year, electronica. They had a rave tent. They had hip hop acts, but it just became the music festival.
Right.
In the area.
But I'm saying like before it got all corporate, like those original, like early 90s ones were still just kind of like a weird mix of semi-mainstream groups. I mean, do you call They Might Be Giants a mainstream group in 1992? No. But like it was a mix of just like random ass acts that people might enjoy. And again, that was part of the charm of the HFStival, is like you could hear bands you were going to listen to, but also discover new music in like a fun festival setting.
And there were lots of bands.
Yeah.
So like playing at the same time. So you could go and wander. You weren't stuck listening to this like, one.
If you're a douchebag in 1995, you're coming to see the Ramones and you're coming to see PJ Harvey and Primus. But you're staying, you're learning about Tripping Daisies. You're going to see Tony Bennett. You might discover Juliana Hatfield, like some of these like actual niche indie, like expand your musical horizons. It was still a good thing, but it was beginning to sour.
Right. And so attendance started going down after, I think, so in 2000, they had it at FedEx Field, which
Yep.
is not the current stadium, but the previous stadium.
It's still the current stadium, FedEx.
Oh, well, the new one in Landover is going to be their stadium, or the Commander's stadium.
It still is. So, all right, this is sports talk now. So they want to move the Commanders from Landover back to RFK, but it's owned by the federal government, so it's very complicated. And RFK is derelict right now.
RFK's in a better location.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
Just like getting to a game, you know.
So FedEx is the current Commanders Stadium that opened around this time. That opened like 2000 or 1999. I
remember when it opened. Anyway,
I mean, yeah, they have like all the major acts in 2000 and 2000. I think 2001 is the biggest, or 2002.
Yep, and at some point they moved it over to the Raven Stadium.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the 1999 show when they had the Chili Peppers and the Offspring. So it was that kind of stuff. But they had 3 stages at this point. And then it went back to RFK.
Yep.
And FedEx Field, and they had 4 stages at this point. And they got bands like Limp Bizkit, The Chemical Brothers, Run DMC, Bush 311, Everclear Filter, Buck Cherry, Jimmy's Chicken Shack, Power Man 5000, who I've seen before and they were awful, Fuel, Rage Against the Machine, Stone Temple Pilots, Blue Man Group, Third Eye Blind, Cypress Hill, Godsmack. You know, it was massive, okay? But then, it turned the corner. They started having a harder time selling tickets.
Mm-hmm.
They kept doing it. And they kept having the 4 stages until the station flipped formats.
Yep.
So they tried to do it again in Baltimore, in 2005.
Yep.
Right. So they had it at the Raven Stadium, hun. They had Foo Fighters, Coldplay, Billy Idol, Good Charlotte.
The New York Dolls.
Yeah. Garbage.
Yep.
They Might Be Giants. You know, the Pie Tasters. Does it
like they're a local DC area ska band?
Yeah, were they? Did they ever get big outside the area?
I mean, they were they were like a second tier ska band, unless you lived in the DC area.
Got it. All right. Say no more.
Yeah.
If you weren't fucking sick of ska after listening to 5 minutes of it, maybe you'd like to buy Tasters too.
Like if you lived here, or if you were really into ska, you would know who they are. But if you just have listened to a No Doubt record, you have no idea who those Pie Tasters are.
So then in 2006, they tried it again, and they moved it to the much smaller Post Pavilion. But it was still 2 days and 3 stages. And then, it got smaller again.
Mm-hmm.
They took a few years off. They did it at Meriwether Post a few times, and then it was gone for 13 years.
I just want to say, I'm looking at the headliners of 2010, and I'm looking at the headliners of 1990, 2000. In 2000, having Third Eye Blind play your main stage is a huge get. But it's not such a huge grit in 2010.
It's funny because Third Eye Blind is playing some big show soon, and there were ads for it at this year's HFStival. Oh. Okay, so they announce they're bringing HFStival back, and my wife went to one of the originals. I had never been to an HFStival, by the way. I've been to shows like it, but there was just too much stuff I didn't like.
I almost went to the 2004 show because I wanted to see Jay-Z, but I couldn't get a ticket.
I think it's pronounced Jays.
Oh, Jays. Sorry, Jazzo.
Right. So when they announced
a rap joke for one other rap music fan listener,
I need like a lone clap.
Oh, yeah. We can record that.
I'll do this instead. So they had they had like a lottery for to be able to buy the tickets. because they were expecting it to be packed.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's not at Merriweather Post, which is that's one of those outdoor amphitheater type places. I saw Metallica in the 90s there. I saw Iron Maiden there. I think I've seen Judas Priest there. It's like that level. I saw Dio there, and Slayer with Lamb of God. They all played there. That's the kind of stuff that plays Merriweather. So they tried to make it bigger, and they went to Nats Park in Washington, D.C. That's where the Nationals play.
Most recently visited by you to see Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, what was it? Smooshing.
Smooshing.
What did I call them? I forget. Yeah. So I was like, oh, since I have the Ticketmaster account, I was like, I will try to get you tickets, wife. And lo and behold, everyone who requested tickets were like, you can buy tickets. Because they didn't get the demand they wanted.
Oh, no.
They were hoping for.
Good news, everyone.
So I paid an uncomfortable amount for them, but not an entirely unexpected amount for them. And we had decent seats. So we were on the third baseline.
Okay.
Towards the outfield. Now the stage is in the outfield. So they were good seats. It was a good view. But it still wasn't way close where the price would have jumped hundreds of dollars. There was standing seats.
GA.
Yeah, and
on the grass.
And there were folding chairs on the grass as well. But but it also wasn't thoroughly packed.
Okay.
So they announced the lineup, and from lowest to high, lowest billing, early to the headliner, it is.
Put your headliner on last, right?
Yeah, it was Lit. Didn't they have a hit? They had a hit, right?
Are they You Make Me Completely Miserable? Is that them?
They did My Own Worst Enemy.
I wish. You know what? If I ever go back in time, because I'm sure I listened to this song in 1998 or whenever this came out, I just need to punch myself in the face and say, what the fuck are you doing? There's a whole world of music out there. Why are you wasting your time with this garbage?
They had Filter.
Another one word. I remember that they exist as a band. I couldn't tell you any song they did.
Hey Man, Nice Shot.
What is okay, sure. I'll take your word for it.
It's funny because both of the songs we have mentioned, I filled in for my former boss's cover band, and they were surprised that I didn't know those songs.
So there's a band called The Used, and twice in my life, they're like a this era type band. Twice in my life, I've been places where I've been hanging out and The Used performed at a show, and then they're just hanging out at the bar afterwards, and they're like, hey guys, we're The Used. And everyone was like, okay. They're like, do you want to party? And we were like, I guess. Sure,
bro. All right. So those are the two bands I know of.
Okay.
I could tell you that I probably know one of their songs. Now,
you could testify in a court of law that they are a band.
The next few I can't do that for. Tonic, Violent Femmes, Girl Talk, Jimmy Eat World, Liz Phair.
I think is Tonic
that's the next block. If you're thinking of Tantric, it wasn't Tantric.
No. I know that Tonic is. I couldn't even tell you what genre they are. But again, Tonic's one of those yes, that is a band. Violent Femmes also is a band.
Yeah.
They're like that. They did the Blister in the Sun cover or Blister in the Sun, right?
Sure.
Let It Go On, like a Blister in the Sun. Okay. Yeah, they're kind of like a emo-y, proto-emo-y band. Okay.
Okay, so now we're in the top tier. These are the ones that are going to draw everyone.
Okay.
Bush, Incubus.
Okay.
Incubus, Death Cab for Cutie, and the Postal Service. Okay, so when they announced this, all I saw everywhere was, who the hell is the Postal Service?
Yeah, who's the Postal Service?
Okay, so, don't look them up yet. Don't look them up yet.
Okay.
We arrived, so we just did a repeat of what we did, me and my wife, when we went to see Green Day. We skipped like half the bands. We went to a great taco place. And got, I don't know what they do to their beans, but it's on the nachos and is really good. I won't name them because
until they pay us. Pay up, assholes.
It's near the ballpark and it's affordable. And anytime we're there, it seems to be happy hour. So, so it's affordable and delicious and way cheaper than anything inside the stadium, which I'll also get to. So we get there. We planned the whole thing to get there in time for Bush, because that's who my wife wanted to see. Yeah. And as we're walking in, I said, "Are they the band that did Song 2?" And she said, "That's a stupid fucking name." And what's Song 2? I'm like, "You don't know?"
Oh, that's a legitimately good
That's
band.
what Song 2 is. Well, it turns out that's Blur.
That's Blur. That's a legitimately good English rock band.
Yeah, so I was like, I know of Bush, so it was just more of that. And I've heard of Incubus. I remember hating them in high school, but they're still around. Maybe they're good. Death Cab for Cutie, I've heard of.
Are they like a hardcore band?
We'll get there.
Oh,
and then
no.
The Postal Service. I'm like, what the? I don't know, but I'm the plus one.
Yeah, you're being a good husband.
Right. So we get there. We get to our seats like minutes before Bush comes on. So it's like perfect. Turns out I know a lot of Bush. They must have been on. They must have been on right before I stopped listening to the radio. So they had their. They had their big album was 16 Stone, and I wish. What's weird is they have been consistently producing albums all this time.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
they have an album. Well, I mean, they took a little bit of time off.
I thought it was like a Lynyrd Skynyrd situation.
They have an album in 94, 96, 99, 2001, 2011, 14, 17, 20, and 22.
The only reason I know Bush after like 1997 is the dude who is the lead singer was married to Gwen Stefani, and then he
right. So that came up too.
Yeah.
Apparently, No Doubt was in the mix at some point.
Oh no!
But No Doubt didn't play, and then Garbage was going to play. I forget why they didn't play, and they were replaced by Liz Phair, unfortunately.
So that's not a good trade.
That's like going down the list,
we got Liz Phair.
Who? But Bush's one of their bigger songs was "Come Down." I don't want to come down. Yep, that one. They also did "Glycerine," which is the other one I was trying to think of. And that song, if you don't remember, it's the one that's the "When I Come Around" chord progression.
Yeah.
It keeps going, "Glycerine, glycerine." There were other songs I knew, but those were the big ones.
Machine Head, you probably knew.
Machine Head, yeah. I didn't even know that one was called Machine Head.
Yeah, no one knows.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, I know these songs, I don't love it, but Gavin Rossdale, the singer, so, I'm told he aged 40 years in the last 20 years.
Oh no. Well,
he was fucking
Gwen Stefani.
I made the same joke. He was bouncing all over the place. This guy is like 60, and he like high energy the whole time, like running around, right?
Holy shit, he is 60. He's 58.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he sounds exactly the same as he did in the 90s, which, I'm always impressed by.
Yeah.
Like these singers who can maintain their instrument that long. So I was pleasantly surprised by Bush. The sound Bush's sound was good too. And I bring this up because another band's sound was not good.
Oh no. So before you move on.
Well, I do have.
Speaking of this era of music and chord progressions and how everything was the same chord progressions, my friends and I used to play the Blink 182 game, which is where you play a Blink 182 song and sing the lyrics to any other Blink 182 song to that song, because they all work, because they're all the same progressions.
Well, there was also that guy on YouTube, John Sladano, I think his name was, where he would do he'd do All Star to every 90s song.
Oh yeah.
Somebody.
Did you ever see the one where he did it to the Soviet anthem?
No. Oh, that's good. So, so that from that point on, so that's what I actually saw. The whole thing, with one major exception, was a study in guitars I hate. You name a guitar I hate, someone had it. It was there were Stratocasters, there were Telecasters, there's a Fender Jaguar, there was a Fender Mustang, there was a Gibson SG. It was just like all the ones I hated. But Bush, for one song, the guitarist had a hybrid fretted fretless guitar. It was 3 frets. I can't watch a YouTube video. Why are you sending me a YouTube video?
That's for later. Don't get distracted.
Oh, it's for later. Okay. It had 3 frets, and then the rest of it was fretless. And he did like and slidey things on it. And fretless guitars are just so
like it was a rockabilly band.
Yeah. Well, I elbowed my wife, and I was like, "That guitar's fretless. What is going on? This is wild." And she said, "You are the only person in the stadium who would notice that."
Well, yeah, because if you're at the HFStival, you're not like a music fan.
It's pretty good. So they played for an hour, I think. A couple times the lead
Bush
vocalist
played for an hour?
Yeah, the
Holy
lead vocalist
shit.
mic cut off because he had this wireless mic and they just couldn't get it to work. But clearly it was working in his monitors, in his ears.
Oh,
because he was
no.
talking and talking and talking, like after it stopped working. I was like, and I don't know what the back of the house crew was doing, but no one seemed to notice that the lead vocalist's microphone isn't going out to the crowd.
I mean, sound guys are sound guys, no matter where they work.
Oh, they get worse. So, they fixed it eventually, but there was like a few minute delay.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's anyway very athletic for a 60-year-old. Still sounds good. I was, it was surprisingly decent. All right, so not metal at all. Now I was worried there was going to be fire, because I was like, this doesn't make sense for Green Day. I'm just going to tell you right now, there was no pyro at all.
That's because that's expensive.
Right.
Maybe if a few more tickets were sold, they could have gotten that.
Speaking of expensive, Nats Park really, really, really wants you to get an $18 beer.
Oh.
Because I went to go get a soda, and I had to walk a surprising distance to find anyone that had a soda.
Oh.
And I bought one for $6, and the Coke Zero now has like this bottle made of recycled material. Well, this bottle did not have that.
Oh,
which should have been my first warning.
Uh-oh.
I think it was sitting out in the sun for hours as well, because I opened it. It tasted wrong, and it tasted like plastic, and it was kind of flat, and it was a very disappointing $6. And the only thing I've had more disappointing at an arena was the very next day when I paid $18 for chicken fingers and fries, and they were ice cold.
Wait,
they had been cooked, and they had been sitting out so long, they were cold.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
Oh, at the Capital
at
One.
at the Capital One
okay.
Arena. So I spent a lot of time in DC and riding the Green
You're
Line.
like the king of DC's venues.
Yeah, just this weekend. It's too much.
I'm gonna start calling you the DC boy.
For now. So the next band.
I'm sure that
Incubus.
was a great Caps game, by the way. Left feeling great.
Oh, well, it's preseason. Who cares?
Okay.
I got to see Ivan Miroshnichenko score, and I got to hear people try to say Miroshnichenko.
Okay.
That's all I wanted out of that game.
All right. Okay.
All right. So, and there was a great boarding penalty, and the Caps rookie was going like, "What did I do? Say what?"
Thought this was America.
Right. I was gonna say it like Russian, like, I thought this America. There we go. I cannot board. So next band, Incubus.
Okay. Also,
I hate it.
I would say, are they bigger than Bush? I don't know. I think
Very good point.
I think Bush is bigger than Incubus.
Incubus played longer. You know what? Incubus probably played for an hour. I think Bush only played for like 45, 50 minutes.
They had that like Whatever Tomorrow Brings song.
Okay, so
They had a George.
thank you for bringing that up. When Incubus finished, I'll loop back. But when Incubus finished, I said I only knew one song out of that whole set.
Yeah.
One Incubus song. And my wife goes, no, you knew like 2 or 3 of them. Like you were singing along. I was like, well, I know the Beatles song they played, and I know the Phil Collins song they played. Like they played longer than everyone I saw.
Wait, was the Phil Collins song Susu Studio? Because that would be butt-sized.
Butt-sized. Oh, when Incubus started, there was a guy who stood up. He was like going nuts. And I leaned over and I said, that guy is sized for Incubus. We got to bring Seist back.
We do got to bring Seist back.
I'm sized to do so. But that didn't work.
We need a podcast him down Seist shirt.
Butt sized. We need a
Yeah, we need
sound.
just like a DJ like screw like butt sized.
Butt sized. Yeah. Okay. So I forgot one thing. They started at noon.
Noon?
Before Lit came on.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing started at noon. They started with a DJ reunion, and I couldn't name a single HFS DJ.
Oh.
We didn't see it, so.
Okay, but 1 day festival, right? It's not 2 days.
Oh, that was the other thing. The flyer said on it, 1 day, 1 stage. I was like, no, you're making it seem like a feature. Like anyone who looks up the Wikipedia knows how small and sad it's gotten.
It's like, we're so awesome. We've decided to give, it was such a great date. We decided to just have drinks.
So, Incubus. I don't know who are they playing for? They are all very clearly talented, except for their sound guy. Their sound was off. Their sound was kick drum and 2 quiet vocals. They and whenever the DJ, they have a DJ. Whenever the DJ did anything, you could hear it. That was it. I couldn't hear the guitar, and like the guitar was like he's clearly doing something. Couldn't hear it. Could barely hear the vocals. Sometimes could hear the bass. Incubus's bassist is I forget her name, but she's a small woman who I think picks comically huge basses on purpose.
Nicole Rowe?
Yeah, that's it. She was Miley Cyrus's bassist.
Oh, yeah. She was definitely 8 years old when Incubus's hits happened.
Yeah. So, like I said, they were all clearly talented, but their songwriting is just like aimless and boring. Well, Maybe it would have been better with a guitar. I don't know.
I think Incubus might be one of those bands that's like they a victim of their popular music versus what they actually want to play?
Yeah, so people seem to know the songs that sounded like Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
And they knew that Whatever Tomorrow Brings, which I didn't know was Incubus.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, like, it was confused. It was thoroughly not enjoyable. I was right. They still suck. So
they were kind of like whatever. Okay. New metal is to metal as they are to progressive metal. So they're just like slightly more musically interesting new metal, but they're still like in that field. If that makes sense. Like there's more musical nuance to their music, but it's still also just like, oh yeah, this is just like every band from 1998.
Right. They were working harder than Bush, but achieving way.
Yeah.
And
but I also think they were at a time when you could see like a festival lineup that was like Korn, 311 and Incubus. So of course you could be like, man, Incubus is a fucking musical genius.
Well, also if they had good sound,
I think the guy is dreamy too. I think that was another big factor in their
oh yeah, the middle-aged ladies behind me said something along the lines of, I'd like a slice of him, or
I'd like to jump his bones.
I'd jump his bones. I have that somewhere here. Is it this?
Let's talk about your reviews a little bit regarding intravenous DeMilo. This tasteless cover is a good indication of the lack of musical invention within.
I don't think
the musical growth rate of this band cannot even be charted. They are treading water in a sea of retarded sexuality and bad poetry.
Well, that's nitpicking, isn't it?
The Gospel According to Spinal Tap. This pretentious, ponderous collection of religious rock.
Found it.
I jump his bones.
Yeah, that's what she said. All right.
So, his father was a former Marlboro man. Well, that's interesting. Oh. Yeah, so I think a lot of their popularity is musical, but just like dreamy, tattooed man. I would suspect.
Yeah. So, not good. All right. So then, Death Cab for Cutie. Now, this is where the night took a turn.
Uh-oh.
And not the turn you're dreading.
This is like a indie rock emo band.
Yeah. Death Cab for Cutie is
your
indie.
Favorite genre.
And is it emo? I don't know. I mean, everything was about like girlfriends and relationships.
It's like proto emo, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not quite emo yet. It's getting there.
So
I would call them indie rock or indie pop, personally.
Now, the thing is, the Postal Service is the guy from Death Cab for Cutie.
Uh-oh.
And some electronic musician and some lady. That's what the Postal Service is. They had one album in 2003. They are an indie rock supergroup, allegedly, because if it's a supergroup, aren't you supposed to have heard of them? So, yeah, they had this one album, and they've been touring for it for some reason. Now, why they get to headline HFStival is beyond me.
That's
because out of these last four bands, it should have been Incubus. Like When I Got There and Suffer Through Them. They should have closed with Bush because they were high energy, and then had the two relaxing sets between them. If they are indeed that popular. Yeah, so Death Cab for Cutie comes out. I don't know a single song, but they're all just very mellow. They are the reason there's a market for $500 reverb pedals, because that's what they were doing. You know,
I mean, okay, so I like indie rock and pop music much more than you do, but even I disagree with their placement. I like electronic
didn't
music.
Make any sense.
I like weird dance music. I like synth pop. I like that kind of music, but I would not close this festival with either Death Cab for Cutie or Postal Service.
Doesn't make sense. Now, what I want you to do is look up Death Cab for Cutie.
Okay.
Go to the frontman Benjamin Gibbard's page. So he's like the main dude in Death Cab for Cutie and the Postal Service. See that face with its hair coming down?
Oh, yeah, he looks like an indie rock guy.
That's how I picture all indie rock guys.
Yeah.
And that face is so fucking punchable. I hate that haircut. I just want to punch his fucking face in. All right. However, Look up photos of him now. I don't know what product he uses, but he swoops his hair back and he looks not like a whiny little douchebag anymore.
My man looks like a Trump voter now.
Yeah, he looks like the legal eagle now.
Yeah. He looks like Devin. What's this?
All right. So then he also does this weird thing. So we did it throughout both of his band's sets. So picture someone trying to cross-country ski.
Okay.
Right? All right. Now put a guitar in his hands.
Okay.
Now keep his face right on the mic.
Okay.
He did this the entire time, no matter what the feeling of the song was, the energy, whether it was sad or happy or fast or slow. He was just doing this the whole time. It was very weird, and apparently, like, that's his thing.
That sounds fun.
It was just, I don't know, it was weird. His
Like the kind
lead
of energy to
guitarist,
close the show.
his lead guitarist looks like an art professor.
Probably is an art professor.
It probably is. Then, so yeah, they were fine. They played for like 45 minutes. And then he goes, all right, everybody, give us 15 minutes and then we'll come out and give up. And I'm like,
What?
is he going to commit suicide?
I mean, that would be a pretty
festival,
cool way to
like-
end the show.
What is happening? No, Give Up is the name of the Postal Service album, the one album.
Okay.
And they are playing it for the last time ever because they announced this is the Postal Service's last show ever. So they're ending the tour at HFStival. That's the end. So I don't know.
The Breaking Uppers is a good name for a band.
I don't know like who he knows or who he has dirt on, but he got HFStival to put them last. Now the Postal Service came out. They are called that. I had plenty of time to read all the Wikipedia pages of these bands.
On your phone while the music's playing.
Yeah. Yep. They're called that because the electronic music guy would like compose his part and then mail it to Benjamin. And he would write the lyrics and add his guitar parts and sing over it and send it back. So that's how they did their music. So they called it the Postal Service. Then they got sued by USPS.
Well, yeah, you can't.
Yeah. So they call themselves Indietronica.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. So they played like just this mellow songs about like relationships. They played the whole album.
It's like the most 2003 music you can imagine.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just kind of relaxing. I was like, I could sleep to this and Death Cab for Cutie for that matter. Like I could fall asleep. This is, too relaxed. No metal, no fire. And I felt bad for the people who paid to stand because I'd be bored shitless if I wasn't sitting there, yeah, then they closed with a Depeche Mode cover and then they said bye.
Ooh, what Depeche Mode song?
I don't know.
Oh.
And then they turned on the lights and everyone left. It was like, okay, it's over.
You know what would have been a great closing act for the fucking HF Festival is goddamn Depeche Mode.
Yeah, there you go. So, they also between songs, between bands, when they're changing the stage over, they had highlights from old HF festivals. Now you think for a music fest that had gone on for 16 years, they'd have more than 8 minutes of highlights from the past. Like they looped it. They could have had HFS DJs come out. They could have done contests. They could have done anything. It was like they didn't try, The Depeche Mode song was called Enjoy the Silence.
Okay, that's a good Depeche Mode song. Weird. Interesting.
Yeah. So it just kind of like ended with a fizzle. Now I'm wondering if they're trying to keep costs low so they can do it again next year. And hopefully, like, I think they're thinking we can bring this back every year and make it bigger and better. We just got to start somewhere. That's my theory. We'll find out if that's where they go. As a concert, it was a confusing lineup, but as we mentioned, that's not odd for HFStival. I don't think they did a good job capturing the spirit of HFStival. I think it was just a mishmash of bands, and it wasn't very HFStival, and that is coming from someone who's never been to one.
It's too member-berry. It's not enough. They should have had a middling rap act. I'm sure Coheed and Cambria are available. They could have done so much more.
Yeah, and they didn't. So as a concert, if it was just the 4 bands I saw and Incubus opened, I would have said it would have been a good concert. But it was fine. Like, I wasn't miserable too much. I was just like real mad at I think the low light was just Incubus's sound. I might have liked them better. The weather cooperated. It rained a little bit, but we were under the thing, so it was fine. I didn't buy an $18 beer because that's a lot. I mean, for $18, I could buy most of a case of Narragansett. So.
Should have hollowed out your cane. It's my walking cane.
So there you go. There's HFStival. If you were hoping for something metal and you like Incubus, well, then you're wrong.
Good job. I'm glad I was busy.
Yeah, well, I was originally busy. I had a concert that I was supposed to be performing.
Wait, hold it. But was Burning Shadows going to play the HFStival? Breaking news. Yeah,
we were going to set up our own local stage. No, we were the Metallica tribute, Fade to Black. We were supposed to play Little Ozzy Fest, which was in Richmond that day, but it got canceled. Little Ozzy is exactly what you think it is.
Like young kids playing Ozzy?
No. It's a little person.
Okay.
Who does Ozzy. It's awesome. He's the nicest guy ever, too.
I mean, tell me when that show is.
Yeah, well, it got canceled, so I don't know why it got canceled, but it got canceled. Yeah, so maybe the next one will be better. We'll see if I get dragged to it.
Find out. Maybe I'll come next time.
And then we can spend Incubus's set podcasting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if
we're not bootlegging, man. We're recording a podcast.
If you've made it this far, and you're a regular metalhead listener of Podcast Them Down, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and keep listening to the airwaves. I'm sure radio's coming back soon.
I have crickets on here somewhere. Oh, right there. There it is.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, you know what the festival needed?
What?
It needs zazz. It needs zazz. I'm right to say that.
No,
right?
You're right to say that. It's just, you can stand to zazz it up a little bit more.
Chris Gert, but I gotta say, this whole thing, it lacks zazz. Well, put it on the zazz train to zazz.
Yeah, because no offense, there's absolutely no zazz to be found.
That's it.
Please stop saying zazz.